department personnel have been patiently waiting here. Roll call, please.
Director Joya?
Here.
Director Anderson?
Here.
Director Burgess?
Here.
Director Glover? Chair, Director Mitchell?
Here. We will now move to our consent items. We have items C1 through C4. Any director wishing to remove an item from consent? Seeing none. Chief Burchard, do we need to remove anything?
No, Madam Chair, thank you.
Thank you. Public comment, please.
If there are any callers on the line or any Zoom participants that would like to speak on the consent calendar, please press #2 if you're on the phone or raise your hand in the Zoom app.
Si alguna persona quiere hacer algún comentario sobre los puntos de consentimiento en el orden del día, si están en Zoom, por favor levanten la mano, o si están en el teléfono, opriman el numeral 2.
I see no public callers. May I have a motion, please?
And I'll second. We don't have it showing up on our
We're going to
pads.
move real quickly here, folks.
Okay, I will second John's motion.
All right, so it will show on the screen in a moment that Joya moved and Anderson seconded. And as soon as we get it up on our pads, we will vote.
Will it come up on the pads? You could
We
do a
can
roll
just
call
do
if you want to do it
roll call,
faster.
or just say all in favor.
All in favor?
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say no. Motion carries 5-0. Thank you. We have a presentation today, very exciting. Chief, the presentation regarding recognizing the American Medical Response 2020 and 2022 winners of the Star of Life Award.
Good afternoon, Madam Chair, members of the board. Thank you. It's great to be here for our second meeting and then actually getting back to presentations and recognizing some very important people. So thank you for giving us that opportunity. This afternoon, we're recognizing Cliff Jacks and Dubravka Frost, both from AMR, American Medical Response. As you are all very aware, we have a very special and unique relationship with AMR. They are part of us in delivering critical emergency medical services throughout much of the county. They work with our firefighters on the front lines every day and many of the firefighters throughout the rest of the county. With the exception of the San Ramon Valley and the Moraga-Orinda Fire District, they are our emergency ambulance providers, both at the EMT and paramedic level. I'd like to invite Scott Newland, AMR, and our operations manager for the emergency ambulance system in Contra Costa County to give us some perspective on both of the recipients. Unfortunately, Cliff Jacks was not able to be here today, but Dubravka is with us. And so given the fact that they are an inherent and very critical part of our emergency medical services delivery platform, would like to recognize Dubravka and Cliff and hope that Scott can give us a little background on both of these outstanding individuals.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Thank you, Chief. Thank you, everybody. I'm incredibly honored to introduce a little bit about Dubravka Frost and Cliff Jacks. I have had the pleasure of knowing them for 16 years, and I've been able to watch them progress professionally and personally during that time. I'll begin with Cliff Jacks. Unfortunately, he was unable to make it today. This individual is a true professional and educator. He was one of my mentors as I was going through my own paramedic training, and he continues to educate young EMTs and paramedics that are coming through our doors every day. He's an inspiration to everybody with his positive, upbeat attitude and excellent education abilities that he has to instruct individuals. He also reaches out as part of our community outreach team and interacts with the general public and the citizens we serve, and everybody enjoys their time with Cliff. Cliff is also a family man with 3 young children and his lovely wife, and they do enjoy spending some of their off time here in our county with some of the fun activities we have to offer. So I thank Cliff Jacks for assisting me in my career, and I believe some of my peers in the audience would say the same thing. So
Before you go on to Dubravka, I hope I pronounced, can you tell us what the Star of Life Award is and its significance?
So the Star of Life Award is a nationally recognized award to various EMTs, paramedics, dispatchers throughout the United States. These individuals are presented by peers, leaders, and in some cases some subordinates, where these individuals, we write up a presentation on this on these specific individuals, and the leadership from various companies around the United States review these and vote on who they would like to nationally recognize as a Star of Life. It's to put it into perspective, this is like winning a gold medal in the Olympics. So
I figured it was pretty important. That's why I wanted it on the record and for our audience to recognize how significant this is for these two members of our team.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And is Ms. Frost in the audience?
Yeah, so I'd like to actually
I'm sure she doesn't want to, but we want you to come up here. It's
on up,
part of
Dubravka.
what you got to do when you win the Star of Life Award.
We have a tremendous amount of great personnel that we interact with both at our agency and our allied agencies within the county. There's a lot of special people that come through the door, but Dubravka is very unique and close to my heart. She's always been somebody that it's easy to confide in, and she takes pride in trying to take care of not only the citizens we serve, but the people she works with, and not just her peers, but her leaders. She immigrated here from Croatia and was able to establish a life here with her family. And she is, if I could pick one person to represent not only AMR or the allied agencies in Contra Costa County, but EMS as a whole, Dubravka is it. She is a true professional. She's an educator. She is a critical incident stress management peer. She's a disaster response medic and one of our acting supervisors. So she is incredibly involved with the operation. She's involved with the communities that we serve here and anywhere within the United States when FEMA calls for us. She's compassionate, she's empathetic. She's received multiple commendations from patients that she's cared for, multiple commendations from her peers and her leaders. And I know I'm a better paramedic, I'm a better leader because of Dubravka. So seeing her receive this award, it truly touched me, and there's nobody else more deserving.
Would you like to make a few comments? No. Okay. I'm not going to push you on that. But I do want to thank you, and my colleagues will speak, I'm sure. These have been 2 very, very challenging years. We don't have to tell you that. And as much as you and your colleague, Mr. Chax, received the Star of Life Award, you're all stars in our universe here in Contra Costa County, and we want to thank you all. And I'm hoping there are some of your colleagues who are, maybe will watch us later on. They're busy right now, but we want to honor you and thank you very, very much, as well as Mr. Jacks and all of you in the audience for coming down today, and the leadership provided by those of you who are your superiors, and I think it speaks highly that subordinates are also in a position to nominate you for these awards. Chief, did you wish to make any other comments before I ask my colleagues?
I think a lot of it's been said, and it's been said very well, and you echoed it. The last 2 years has been significant, to say the least. on the emergency medical service providers, the first responders, and for somebody like Cliff and Dubrovka to persevere through that and still show the empathy and the courage and the respect and the motivation is outstanding. So very deserving and very thankful that they're all part of our team.
We're only going to submit you to a little bit more embarrassment. Supervisor Anderson?
Yes, and I want to express my thanks to you as well. Again, you're the first to respond to someone in what's likely the worst crisis of their life or their family's lives. And you are the one that gets to make a difference in how they feel about that experience, whether they survive that experience, and provide that level of competence that reassures the family that things will be okay. So thank you. It sounds like you're an exceptional person. We're delighted that you are working in this very important role. So I appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Supervisor Joya? Anyone
I
else?
was just going to add my words to really, it's always great to hold up great civic examples, and you're one of them, so we honor you.
All right. Supervisor Burgess?
Thank you. Supervisor Anderson's right. Sorry.
And I know Supervisor Burgess wants to extend her appreciation for your personal involvement in her family. So thank you
for
very
everything.
much. Did you want a picture? You don't have to have a picture with us. Maybe you guys want to have a picture. Go ahead. Or you're just thanking her. Okay.
Madam Chair,
I'm sorry, Supervisor Glover.
I also just wanted to thank you and congratulate you on this well-deserved acknowledgement for your service and leadership.
Now go have
Thank you.
fun with your colleagues. With that, we will move on to discussion items. Item D1 is to hear from Chief McAllister on the status summary for our Fire Protection District Fire Station construction projects.
Good afternoon, Madam Chair, members of the board. Thank you. A little bit longer list this month. We have a lot of things in the pipeline. We'll start with Fire Station 86 in Bay Point. Is moving along very nicely. Our current holdup is getting power to the building, which we are promised will occur on June the 9th. So still a couple weeks out on getting power, and then we have some implementation things to do after that. But we are in the home stretch, and we're looking for that fire station to open in July, and it will be definitely celebrated with an appropriate ceremony with the date that is still to be determined. Fire Station 9 in Pacheco is still hung up in a little bit of environmental work, and we're still waiting for reports to be completed that need to be submitted to the FAA. So we're kind of held up on Fire Station 9 at the moment.
And Chief McAllister, I hope that our new airport director has reached out to you or you to him to introduce yourselves to each other and let him know this is a high priority for the board.
We have spoken, and we have an in-person meeting scheduled with Chief Burchard and the airport director, I think, next week.
Great.
Yeah. Fire Station 54, downtown Brentwood. This is a closed fire station. It's due to be demolished. This is an East Contra Costa fire station. We have already engaged firms in order to do the demolition of that building, which will occur shortly after July the 1st. Followed by an RFQ that we have on the street currently looking for architects that we will retain in order to construct a fire station on that site. The Regional Communications Center is in the report this month. That's kind of been in the works for quite a while, but we are at a point where we have finalized the floor plan. If you recall the site there on Gary, we're taking the current communications building, we're going to move it into the old administration building. That way we're able to keep the old center fully functional, build out a new communications center that has additional square footage and more appropriate for our needs today. The long-term plan is still Concord Naval Weapons, so I've been saying it's not our forever home, but it's intended to get us from here to there.
And I have a quick question, if I could. Are we really still dependent upon that property, the Naval Weapons Station, be transferred to Concord before we will have access to our portion of the formal Naval Weapons Station? Or do we have access to it immediately? I'm just curious if we're really, with all the delays that are taking place in Concord, with them not being able to find a developer who's able to live under their terms, what is the timing? Are we contingent upon Concord getting the property before we have access to our site?
So the property will transfer directly to the county and the fire district?
But not until it transfers to Concord as well?
Not necessarily.
Okay.
So we could receive a direct transfer, but our development of that site is dependent on the infrastructure that Concord needs to develop their
Right,
site.
such as roads and other access.
Utilities.
Okay, so we really are dependent.
They're very much linked. However,
Okay.
we could acquire direct ownership first.
But it really wouldn't help us unless we plan to lay our own water, sewer, electric lines, which would not make sense. Okay, thank you.
But there is some sort of agreement in place, is there not, between the county, the fire district, and the sheriff's office on that property?
We have an operating plan for the
That-
use of that site currently that we have a lease with the Navy that
Lease.
allows us to use it currently.
Okay, great. We'll have to wait to tonight's Concord City Council meeting.
Lastly, this month, Fire Station 54 in Brentwood.
51?
Correction, 51, thanks, Chief. And that is a vacant property that the East Contra Costa Fire District owns that will transfer to Confire after July 1. That's Empire and Grant, and that will be a fire station, slightly larger fire station, planning for a two-company fire station, at least to have that ability in the future. And then that's also where we intend to locate a forward-facing, public-facing fire prevention office at that site. And that's the facility report this month.
Colleagues, any comments or questions for this report? Supervisor Burgess?
There's another facility opening up in just another week in Oakley that you're participating in as well, correct?
We're about to hit ceremony season for the fire district, and I'm going to let the chief cover that in his
All right.
report.
Can't keep up with all the invitations. All right. Any public comment on Chief McAllister's report?
If there are any comments either on the phone or on Zoom for the Fire Protection District Fire Station Construction Projects Report, please press #2 if you're on the phone or raise your hand in the Zoom app.
Si alguna persona quiere hacer algún comentario sobre la actualización de los proyectos de los bomberos, por favor, si están en Zoom, levanten la mano. Y si están en el teléfono, opriman el numeral 2.
I don't see any public speakers. Would someone like to push the motion button to accept this report? And would someone like to push the second button? There we go. And that was moved by Burgess and seconded by Joya. If you'll please vote. And the motion passes 5-0. Thank you so much. Our next item is item D2, to consider accepting a report from the fire chief, providing a status summary. We've already had 2 wildfires, if not more.
Yeah, that's the unfortunate reality of my report is that we're there.
3, I guess.
We're in fire season, and it's, we were there last week in mid-May. Napa County, Solano County, Contra Costa County, and then today Alameda County have all had fairly significant fires in the last 3 to 4 days. Some of them over 100 acres, some of them requiring evacuations. The fire that we had in Contra Costa County yesterday was just under 100 acres in a fairly remote area of the San Ramon Valley Fire District, almost near Dublin. Very typical grass, a lot of grass, and your normal west wind was pushing it. So we're at least a month ahead of where we should be, likely at least a month and a half if you look at the fuel moistures and how these fires are acting. So that's the troubling part. This is going to shape up to be a very long summer, no doubt about it, with the addition of at least probably 45 days of fires, active peak fire season that starts on the front end. So We will continue our endeavors to train and prepare. We continue to have apparatus arriving. We have the hand crew fully staffed with the help of Measure X. They responded actually yesterday all the way down to San Ramon and assisted with that fire. So that is part of the design of the Measure X program, is for them to be available not just for Confire but for other jurisdictions. We've been doing some training with other organizations in West County this week when the wind cooperated, which was about half the time. And we are continuing to work on adding staff. Last night, we graduated 27 members of a lateral firefighter academy. Lateral meaning they were experienced working somewhere else and decided to change careers and come to Confire. So very excited that last night we had a wonderful ceremony at the Lesher Center. 27 new members of our organization, 9 of which were on shift today, some of which actually had their first fire today, as we had a couple fires in Antioch. We had 12 paramedics, 15 EMTs. 5 of these new members are actually hazardous materials specialists, which will help us tremendously with staffing our hazmat response team. And that is roughly 240 hours of training that they bring with them. And also some of our outreach and diversity recruitment efforts help to pay off. We have 3 new female firefighters that are joining the ranks as of last night as well. So excited. They couldn't come soon enough as we get headlong into the summer fire season. An update on the East Contra Costa annexation. There are 38 days to go, if our math is correct, to June 30th. And we are working very diligently with the County Administrator's Office, County Council, East Contra Costa staff, the Auditor Controller, Human Resources and Benefits here at the county to line everything up and get all the I's dotted and T's crossed, the different financial transactions that need to take place, some of which will come to you in the form of resolutions at our June 7th board meeting. So a lot of work and effort has been done to get us to the effective date. Operationally, we're in a good spot and prepared for July 1st. On June 1st, we are staffing Station 55, which is in the very eastern edge of Oakley. So to me, it serves Oakley and Bethel Island as the principal primary response. That station was built, I think, 2 years ago and not staffed. And so June 1st, it will be staffed for the first time with Confire personnel. We will bring advanced life support paramedic service to that station effective June 1st, and that will carry on well into July. And that will be the very first advanced life support paramedic capable station in the eastern Contra Costa area. On July 1st, we will bring advanced life support to Station 52 in Brentwood, and that will be the second paramedic staffed company in Brentwood. There are 2 remainder stations at that point, one in Oakley and one in Discovery Bay. We will look towards the future, likely next February or March, as we get another academy graduated, to be able to upgrade those to paramedic level service. But June 1st is a big day. June is normally our busiest month for fires. But May is trying to catch up. So by the time we get to June 1st, we're going to be very busy, and having that extra resource is going to help tremendously. Chief McAllister had run some data with some of our advanced software. I think I have this right, that within the East Contra Costa footprint, we will be improving emergency medical service response times by approximately 90 seconds by opening Station 55. And we will actually be benefiting Antioch and Pittsburgh with improved response times by about 30 seconds. Just the addition of that one resource in that area takes tremendous pressure off the system. So we're looking at some immediate impacts to improvements as we open that station on June 1st. So we do have a ceremony scheduled for June 1st, and then another significant milestone on July 1st, and that ceremony is being put together as well. We continue to work at getting our Station 4 ready for July, so we're continuing getting those improvements done, and it will not be July 1st necessarily, but early to hopefully mid-July we will be able to get personnel staffed in Station 4 as well, so that will likely have another bit of a celebration for that community as we get that station reopened. As we continue to work on other annexation-related matters, an update on Pinole, although it's not an annexation per se. We are working with both county and city staff, have had a couple of joint meetings. Tomorrow, myself, the fire chief from Pinole, Adam Nguyen, our county finance director, and his counterpart from Pinole will go through the RFP responses for the fiscal analysis that's required under the LAFCO legislation for that process to continue moving forward. We have a schedule to get the contracts essentially completed by October. It's an incredibly ambitious schedule, but between county CAO's office, county counsel's office, our counterparts over in Pinole, we're getting rough drafts of contracts and service plans together, and we should have a consultant on board here next week who has already indicated that they should be able, or could, not should, will be able to meet the timelines that we've set out in our schedule so that we can hopefully meet that October timeframe that's been discussed here before to get the contracts done. As I mentioned, training has been taking place with live fire exercises out in West County, and it's been a little hit or miss with the weather, but we'll continue that as long as we can, scheduled to go through the end of May, I believe. We did start to work on some evacuation training and planning with the community. We had a successful evacuation drill very early on a Sunday morning for one of the mutuals, one of the communities within Rossmore. That was the first time that we had done that with Rossmore. We are looking to now expand that to a larger group to participate and really test the system of notification and also effective evacuation out of a community that has one way in, one way out at present with Rossmore. So more to come on that. We're working with some of our MACs. I think I'll be presenting to the Alamo MAC June 7th, talking about Zone Haven, the new evacuation software program. So we're in the public education campaign at this point to get people oriented towards understanding how Zone Haven works, and hoping that they'll use that in conjunction with paying attention to CWS alerts, because those are going to be the two pieces that help us out.
And what's interesting about that is the MAC chair is one of the few Alamo residents who lives in Confire because of the way your boundaries are. Most of Alamo is in San Ramon Valley Fire, but Sharon Burke, who used to sit on LAFCO with us, lives in Confire's area. So she's very concerned to know that Confire is on top of things with regard to all of that. So I think the Zone Haven, of course, San Ramon Valley is using Zone Haven too, and it's an amazing tool that I'm glad you're pushing out more, because it does provide a level of reassurance that a lot of community members need, that they will be alerted and they should evacuate well before they need to, before it becomes an emergency evacuation.
It's a great tool. Chief McAllister's actually seen it in action in some of his incident management team deployments, and has worked very closely with Sheriff's Office of Emergency Services to help coordinate the functionality of Zone Haven with our own CWS. But it is a great tool. It's fairly intuitive for all the users on their iPhones to be able to see what's going on in their neighborhood. So we don't look forward to actually having to use it, but we know that if we do need to use it, it will certainly be a leap ahead of what we have had before. To notify people. So we will continue working on that. And as we continue to get busier with fires, most fires are obviously human caused, and fortunately our investigation unit has been very active in apprehending those that have set fires. A couple weekends ago, unfortunately, we had 33 fires set, and they were actually able to apprehend and arrest 4 arson suspects. So they are doing very well. They're coordinating very well with the local law enforcement, PD and sheriff and others, and as well with the district attorney's office. So they're doing their part to take those folks off the street who are responsible for starting these fires in the most inopportune time and sometimes inopportune places in the fire district. And with that, that concludes my report. Happy to answer any questions.
I'm not seeing any. Do we have any public comment?
If there are any callers on the line or Zoom participants who would like to speak on the Fire District Activities and Initiatives Report, please press #2 if you're on the phone or raise your hand in the Zoom app.
Si alguna persona quiere hacer algún comentario sobre las iniciativas y el informe de los bomberos, si están en Zoom, por favor, levanten la mano. Y si están en el teléfono, opriman el numeral 2.
There are no comments.
Thank you. With that, would somebody like to press the motion button to accept the chief's report? I see that Supervisor Anderson did, and I believe, I can't tell real quickly, Supervisor Glover seconded it. Thank you so much. And if you will vote. And the motion passes 5-0. We will now move on to, we had no consent calendar items removed, so we will move to public comment on any item that is not on today's agenda relative to the Contra Costa County Fire Protection District.
If there are any callers or Zoom participants that would like to speak under general public comment, please press #2 if you're on the phone or raise your hand in the Zoom app.
Si alguna persona desea hacer comentarios sobre puntos generales de la agenda de hoy, si están en Zoom, por favor, levanten la mano y si están en el teléfono, opriman el numeral 2.
We do have a caller.
Caller, your line has been unmuted. You have 2 minutes to state your comment.
Yes, Supervisor Mitchoff, I want to comment regarding your closing comment of the Board of Supervisors meeting where you advocated usurping constitutional rights at a public meeting.
Sir, this does not relate to the Fire Protection District. If you wish to speak with me, you are welcome to call my office. Please cut him off.
There are no more comments.
Thank you. And with that, our meeting is adjourned.
Thank you.